Well, very good morning. All very distinguished guests and very important people in school education in India present here. It's my, of course, privilege that I've been asked to attend this very important conference. For this, I must thank the Joshi Square, Joshi Duo of Mr. Ramesh Joshi and Naveen Joshi, the IPSC people who are believing in me and asked me to talk about my long experience with school education, 40 years of my experience in school education. How we can measure up globally in a globalized world. You all know that education in India and the school education in particular is passing through a very exciting and critical phase. Profound changes are happening all around at great speed. And these changes are being felt in schools every day. These changes are also impacting the minds of our students today. Today's children live in a world that is very different from the one which we all grew up in. It's a new world order. In fact, we are on the verge of entering into fourth industrial revolution. We call it Industry 4.0. There is growing impact of powerful forces of globalization at one end. There is accelerated pace of development in the field of science and technology, particularly in the field of biology and ICT. But we are not giving any knowledge inputs of latest scientific research to our students in their formative period of learning, like nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, cyber security, genomics, fake news, augmented reality, virtual reality, etc., etc. There is also radical transformations in the field of work and employment and the emergence of new areas of jobs and careers. There are careers today which did not exist yesterday, but there will be requirement of skills tomorrow which do not exist today. But still, most of the parents and many of the school do believe that it's only in engineering and medical that employments are restricted, which is absolutely myth. So today's children need to be guided and tuned appropriately and adequately so that they can face the challenges posed by globalization at one end and the time of uncertainty that is prevailing now on the other side. So the way we have been taught and educated, the same thing cannot be repeated to this generation. They are Gen Z, very different from Gen X, to which I belong, or Gen Y, to which many of their teachers belong. Today's generation cannot live in this world with unsolved problems. We have passed through those uncertainties because they will not restrict themselves in a regional or state setup like we have passed our life. They have to compete at the national level, and many of them will also become a global citizen. So if you look into the changing paradigms in education, definition of what constitutes educational learning have changed, absolutely has changed. Consequently, the concept of schooling is undergoing a tremendous transformation all over the world. And remember, the system that failed to respond to the emerging challenges definitely will get marginalized. So schools of tomorrow, it's not coming. It's not coming. देखो भाई, it has been struck. Just look into this, why it is not coming up. So schools of tomorrow, schools of today and yesterday are not the kind of schools that we need for tomorrow. We need new mindsets, new strategies, new processes. In fact, an entire new paradigm of instructional leadership. So the repetitive mindset and the stereotypes that is going on needs to be changed. If you look into the repetitive mindset, if we always do what we always did, we will always get what we always got. The PISA result of 2010 is the latest example where we have got 72 rank out of 74 countries participated in that competition. And the school education has not improved since then. In fact, it has made a quantum jump in the opposite direction, in a downward trend. So we have to take, as a principal, we need to take the initiative. We have to come out from our comfort zone and to ensure to make the changes happen. But someone may ask, and I've been asked so many times, why should we take the risk? Why should we take the initiative? Because there is every chance of falling flat. I do agree that. There is always risk in changing. But failing to change is much riskier. Choice is with us. What course of action we need to take. Now, if you look into the historical perspective of the school education in India, 40 years back, there were three systems which are ensuring the quality education in India. First is the government schools, second is the missionary schools, and third is the private boarding schools. We call at that time the boarding schools, very popular. They were ensuring the quality education, school education in India. So we have the necessary competence, we have the know-how. Only thing that we need to take the initiative and take an atomic vow today to ensure quality framework in school education. Let us look into what is the crisis in education. I'm not asking that our formal education system has to produce Albert Einstein or Isaac Newton. I'm not saying that. But can you ask the last 40 years, formal education system has produced substantive amount or number of the critical thinkers, creative thinkers in India? Why? Because our formal education system is simply producing the test takers. They have to appear so many tests, and not an innovators and not the critical thinkers. And we are thinking that we are doing a great job. This is our crisis in education. What is the student's dilemma? It is a one-size-fits-all system. Yes, for all types of students, the same curriculum, same content, even the same textbooks. It's a top-down direction that we cannot prescribe any other textbooks besides the NCERT textbook. Same teaching style, same homework, even homework, after class work. It's not differentiated. Same assessment, same teaching pace. Now I'm asking a particular question. When in all other sector, the things are personalized, why not it cannot happen in education? That is the challenge I think we need to take up. If we look into it, so our system are forced to follow the prescribed methods, the top-down prescriptive model of curriculum, curbing the lateral and divergent thinking. That is our student dilemma. What about the teacher's dilemma? It is now, आपका ये दिक्कत कर रहा है, देखिए जैसा. So what about the teacher's dilemma? Just look into this immediately. No, it is. What is the teacher's dilemma? Teachers often ask this question, can I focus on the teaching part? Because the 35% of the teacher's work are being spent in preparing, correcting, and finalizing the homework or the classwork. Whenever I ask the teachers what you're doing, they said, I'm correcting the classworks of my students. 35% of times are being spent. Besides that, of course, then results, conducting the test, summarizing the results, remembering the profile of each student, which seems very, very difficult task. And of course, then teachers' own commitment also, which I do not want to comment upon. That is about the teacher's dilemma. What is the school's dilemma? No. What is the school's dilemma? Schools have all the data, but information poor. They do not have the tools to collate, compare, analyze the data. It is almost like a, it is almost like the 6 blind men and the elephant story. We are all aware of that. Incomplete informations, misleading inferences, incorrect measures. So what it leads to? Then at the end of it, we ask, or for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same examination. Asking the birds, the monkeys, the fish, and also the elephants, okay, climb this tree, so we know about your fitness. That's not the way that the school education must function in India. So school's dilemma, if with that, the structure of schools and the teaching learning process in India have not changed much. If someone from the 19th century were to travel forward in time today, he or she would find revolutionary changes in almost all walks of life, except our classroom, where a teacher is standing in front, reading from the pages of textbooks or writing on the blackboards. The students are sitting in rows of desks, listening to the monologues of the teacher because he is an all-knowing authority, or taking down the class notes. The education cannot happen in the new situation, in the new world order. So it has a very rigid hierarchical structures with standardized contents, with watertight compartment of subjects, rigid framework of core curriculum, stereotypes and the repetitive teaching learning process, and overemphasis on examination and the examination's results. So in fact, I will say that so school has 2 values only, most of the school. They'd like to know how many students, how many children have passed the board examination. That's their 1 value. And the number 2 value, how many have 90% marks or more. Whenever the principal takes the pride that I have 13 students crack the NEET, 14 students crack the JEE, or the 15